You know, one thing I really respect about you is, and I think in your own sense, is an ego. Because I think one of the problems with coaches, including myself, is this process works. The process doesn't work if you don't do it. And one of the things I really respect about you is you have a great discipline yourself in following the process.
Thank you.
You don't sit there and try to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. And you don't make it all about you. You know, you're going to get better because of me as a coach. That's one of the things I tell my coaching clients is, I don't get paid because I'm a good coach. I get paid because you're a good customer. Yeah. Don't make it about me. Well, I think you do a great job of that because you really don't make it about you. You're a facilitator. Mm-hmm. Probably the greatest leader I've ever met in my life, or one of them is Alan Mulally, who was the CEO of Ford. And his whole model is leader is exactly the same as our coaching model. Leader is facilitator. Yeah. He gets people in a room. He doesn't try to provide all the answers. Mm-hmm. He has them, when they have a problem, reach out to everyone around him and say, help me, feed forward, mm-hmm. give me ideas. Yeah. He turned around the Ford Motor Company doing that. One of the reasons he was so successful, though, is he didn't interject himself all the time. As a coach, when you start saying, I want you to do this and that and the other, then all of a sudden it's all about you. You know, Chris, my mission is helping successful leaders achieve positive long-term change in behavior for themselves, their people, and their teams. And I think one thing that we do is really focus on helping successful leaders. Yeah. And some people ask me, well, what about people that don't care? Well, I don't work with people that don't care. And I'm not saying somebody else shouldn't. They can if they want to, but they don't get paid for results. Mm-hmm. And if you get paid for results, I think it's better to work with people that care. And also, if you look at research on coaching, it's really helping successful leaders get better, not taking people who are about to get killed and then try to salvage them. What's your feeling on all this?
I tell people don't take a bad engagement. And, you know, I have a rather humorous line, I think, often, depending on how the conversation rolls along. And I use the phrase, this process is simple. It's not easy.
Right.
I had one person say, well, it sounds very complicated to me. I said, no, it's rather simple. Pick a couple things, engage stakeholders, tell them what you're going to work on, build a plan, share it with them, ask them periodically if they've noted the difference, do a mini survey, and what's complicated about that? Right. It's far from easy. Far from easy. At getting anybody to change behavior and sustain it. You can do anything for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And how do you sustain it? My measure of success is if at the end of a year, the stakeholders say, you know, when Joe said that he was going to delegate more effectively, knowing what a micromanager he's been, I thought, you know, this is just another HR boondoggle that's not going to stick. And here we are a year later. Right. And it's really interesting to watch how he's done it. And I've learned a lot myself doing it. And I don't think he's going to bounce back.
Good.
And that's the measure of success for me as a coach.
That is the measure of success. And I think, again, very important concept that we do. Working with winners, high potential leaders, people that have the opportunity to be promoted. In my case, CEOs of major corporations or future CEOs, those are the only people I work with. And you might say, well, why do they need help? Well, they need help because they're smart. How many of the top 10 tennis players have a coach? All 10. They have multiple coaches. Yeah. Well, it's not because they're stupid, it's because they're smart. And one of the things I love about the concept of working with winners, and it is a counterintuitive concept, is our job is to help those successful people get even better. Mm-hmm. And that is our entire focus. So I think it's a great idea.
You know, one of the things I often describe myself to is helping shorten people's learning curve. I love when somebody says to me, well, this will come with maturity. And I say, well, nothing comes with maturity or age, just age.
Right.
You know, we all know old fools that continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. Right. And I think as you and I discussed, we're working with smart, successful people.
Right.
So the next logical conclusion is, why should I change anything?
Right.
So once somebody says, you know, I could do a better job of fill in the blank, how do you help facilitate that process?
And
help them get there?
And it's something I talk about in my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, the superstition trap. Many successful people fall into that trap. I behave this way, I'm successful. I must be successful because I behave this way. The smart ones realize, I am successful, I behave this way. I'm successful because of most of what I do, or I wouldn't be in this conversation. And we're all successful in spite of doing some things that need improvement. And I think a great idea of our philosophy is really work with those great people and help them realize what got you here won't get you there. And our job is to help them get to the next level.